Welcome everyone to day one of our workshop with Jim Edwards. We are in the early few minutes of getting started. We are going to go ahead and drop the Zoom link in the streaming chat. And so if you want to join us in the Zoom, you're able to. No requirement, and you can watch us from the streaming as well. Um, Jim, I'm excited, man, because I haven't done one of these in a while, first of all. And the last one we did together was absolutely incredible. Our community was, very engaging. We got a lot of great feedback about it. Jim, welcome back, man.
Well, I'm excited to be here, Paulson. And I think the last time we talked was right after the big event in Dallas. So you've been busy
That's right.
traveling the world, dominating the world of SaaSpreneurship and funnel building and all the amazing stuff that High Level does. And I even came with the right gear on, right?
I love it. And I like how our marketing team leaned into this question, whether it's go high level or high level. They've got a duct tape graphic there, so it's pretty clever there. I like that.
I think it just shows me that we can always adapt and we can always figure stuff out on the fly. You're not locked into anything.
Absolutely. Jim, I want to remind you of one of the things we laughed about last time. And
Okay.
you would go on these 20-minute lessons, incredible multi-million dollar lessons, and you would just ask, Hey, Paulson, how am I doing? And I would say, so far,
So
so
far, so
good.
good. Yes. I'd forgotten
So,
about that until just now. Oh my God. Yeah. All
And
right.
and we were dying laughing about it because no matter how great of a lesson and whatnot, I just seemed too neutral, and you started questioning me, so I was having a great blast about it accidentally.
No, I just needed some therapy after that because it's like I'm pouring out my best and I'm like, I met this dude and Paulson, he was like, really? And then everything, am I doing okay? So far so good. And it was only like it was an online thing. It was like a SaaS app thing. So I did therapy with somebody that was in the back of a bar or something, but it was like a 2 for 1. So I'm good though now.
I love it. So, Jim, you've been in the marketing community for a very long time. For those that don't know who Jim Edwards is, this guy's a legend, and I've followed him for at least 10 plus years. He is, one of the early pioneers of looking at copy the right way, especially in the digital marketing era. Jim, give us this, the genesis of how you got started. I mean, I think in the high level community, we've seen you for years in general, and a lot of big agency owners know who you are. But for the brand new person that's new in the industry that don't know you, give us a quick rundown of your story.
Okay, so quick rundown of my story. I started in the analog world. These were my first two info products. This one has a copyright of 1996 on it. I'm not even sure Paulson was born then. And
I was 10 years old. I was 10 years old.
I sold stuff in the real world to people door to door, belly to belly. And then in the late 90s or mid 90s, internet really started coming out. I had written a book. This book had gotten rejected by 40 different publishers, threw it in a drawer. Accidental conversation I had with a friend of mine who was totally unqualified to answer this question when I said, Hey, do you think I could sell my book on the internet? And he said yes, because he and his father had just bought a web server and needed to sell space. So that started an odyssey of about 4 years of figuring out websites and figuring out traffic and all kinds of stuff. And then one day I got exposed to the idea of a one-page sales letter, which I was stupid because I'd been spending money through one-page sales letters for a couple of years. I just didn't dawn on me that, hey, maybe if I got one of them. So I was at a conference, I was speaking at a conference in Boulder, Colorado in February 2001. I saw a guy talk about one-page sales letters. He laid out what to do, not the how to, because he was selling it. I didn't have the money to buy his course. So I took what he said, took my 40-page website, told the story. My sales went up 250% overnight. And so I started making enough money off that little book to move out of the trailer park literally into a house and was making enough money to cover a house payment, two car payments, and an electric bill. So now, over the last 24, 25 years, I would figure stuff out, figure out how to do it. I did ebooks and screen capture video, full motion video, membership sites, all that stuff. But along the way, I taught people how to sell what I was teaching them how to do. So it was a lot of mechanic stuff. And what I realized about 10 years ago, really, I guess 10 years ago now, was that I had turned into the accidental copywriting coach because I had figured out all these shortcuts, all of these hacks for how to write sales letters, do ads, do emails, do all the things you needed to do to sell the thing without turning people into copywriters. And so then I created software to help do that, first with frameworks, then with a bunch of other stuff. And then 3.5 years ago, we added AI to it. And that's kind of how we got here. So I wrote a book called Copywriting Secrets. We've sold 110,000 copies around the world, which is pretty good considering nobody wants to learn copywriting, nobody wants to become a copywriter, and no one wants to hire a copywriter. So selling that many books is pretty good, but nobody wants to learn it, do it, or be it. But everybody wants high converting sales letters, ads, and marketing content. And so that's where I realized, I needed to come out with a new version of Copywriting Secrets that included AI. But then what I also realized is that people still don't want to learn how to be a copywriter and all that stuff. So, but all the stuff I've done with copy hacking and, hacking being the term for shortcut. And so now with the AI and all that, it's time for me to share all the stuff I've been figuring out over
Yeah.
the last 3 or 4 years. And that's really been a pattern with me. I won't teach something until I've done it for a really long time and I know what works, I know what doesn't. And you get the full story with me. It's not everything's perfect. You get the good, the bad, the ugly, the messiness and all that stuff. So yeah, I think the biggest thing I've tried to do over the years is just be real and be honest with people about who I am, what I'm doing, and what's going on, no matter what
I,
it is.
I love it. And Jim probably won't toot his horn when it comes to finances, but he's done tens of millions of dollars. And one of the things Jim is known for in the digital marketing community is his ability to leverage copy as a driving force to his sales, like the teams that he's been working with in the past and things like that. So before we go any further into getting into day one's content and the agenda we have, I see a ton of you watching. I want you to tell us what city or state or where you're checking in from. Help us understand where you are in your journey as well. What, are you a digital marketer? Are you a small business owner? Are you a SaaSpreneur? Maybe you don't want to tell anybody where you're located for whatever reason, because we're obviously streaming on the internet. But maybe you could tell us your kind of the interests that you have when it comes to online business. Um, Jim, what are we going to talk about today? I know we had a ton of things planned. We're doing a 2-day workshop this time, so we got a lot of content to go through. What's the agenda for day one?
So day one's really going to be about first laying the foundations. I'm going to be teaching you the fundamentals of copy hacking and what all the different things are. And I'm going to go through that relatively quickly. Then I'm going to teach you about your avatar, your offer, and yourself so you can create your attractive character. I'm going to talk a lot about hot buttons, which are integral to the whole copy hacking process. We're actually, I mean, you talk about boiling stuff down. I'm going to reveal to you the six hot buttons that if you can identify those, then you're going to be able to hack together some pretty good copy pretty fast. And then we're going to go over specific frameworks and we're going to go over specific AI prompts. So at the end, we will be taking all the stuff we're doing at the beginning with identifying hot buttons and whatnot and plugging them into actually, we'll go over to ChatGPT and we will plug some stuff in and I'll show you how to hack together today headlines. And then
Awesome.
tomorrow we're going to get into a lot of other stuff with the specific outputs. We'll talk about at the end, but this is definitely going to be a workshop. You should do this along with me as we do this, because we're going to be walking through steps and giving you stuff that you can absolutely use right now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I see a few people from Norway, Toronto, Illinois. So thanks for commenting. I see more people joining us. We got started right on time on our scheduled time. So as you're coming in, I see somebody just posted about South Carolina. Welcome in. Give us engagement and comments. It keeps us very energetic as teachers, essentially. And it helps us just mentally just stay focused on the lessons as well. So if you have any questions as well, let us know in the comments as well. We're watching the streaming, especially on the Facebook streaming. If you're on the YouTube side and you're watching it there, feel free to go to the Facebook page, High Level's main Facebook page. We're live on all platforms now. So just engage with us. Let us know where you're checking in from, and as you have questions, let us know. Jim, let's get started with everything we have planned for day one. We've got a ton of things to cover. This is going to take quite some time, so bear with us. We have it on recording in case if you have to jump off and jump back in. Replays will be available as well.
Absolutely. So we're just going to jump right in with the slides. And can you see my slides?
I can see your slides.
Okay,
Perfect.
cool. So we're gonna alternate between slides and the board and me. So we're gonna be talking about AI copywriting secrets, which is how everyone can use AI to get more click sales and signups, no matter what you sell. Zero copywriting experience required. What I like to tell people is that if you can sit down and explain to me who you help, who you are, and what you offer, you should be able to put together compelling sales messages, ads, and marketing content. So, our purpose is to show you how to get words on a page, screen, or video to get more click sales and signups. So, a couple things we'll throw around some concepts. The first one is copy hacking. Copy hacking is basically using frameworks and building blocks or hot buttons. So I've always been big on Legos. Okay. Like literally visualize stuff. And you think about a headline, a picture, bullets, and a button text. What is that, Paulson? That's a
That,
landing
that,
page.
that looks
That's an
like a
opt-in
landing
page.
page. Yeah.
Right. So once you learn how to put together the building blocks and you start thinking in terms of building blocks, all these things that are very overwhelming, like sales letters or landing pages or emails or ads or stuff like that, all of a sudden are not daunting. They're not scary. It's like, oh, I just take the thing I made here, the thing I made here, the thing I made here, and I put them together and it makes the thing that I want. And so, what's cool about this is that what I have found with copy hacking is this is the 10% that gets you 90% of the results. You do not have to learn to be a copywriter. You do not have to study copywriting for forever. And you don't have to hire an expensive copywriter who is just going to take weeks to do your stuff after draining your brain of all the things that, if you knew those hot buttons, you could just make this stuff yourself. And then what is AI copy hacking? It's basically adding AI to copy hacking to augment and accelerate. And this is really the 5% that's going to get you 95% of the result. This is how you can do more in a few hours than people can do in a few days or a few weeks. This is how you can use AI tools not to replace yourself, but to amplify and accelerate your message, which is very important. So, by the way, as an aside, in case anybody's wondering, even though I'm wearing the t-shirt, what's the funnel software that we use? Well, the only one that we would use would be High Level. And right now you can get a 14-day free trial. You also get my snapshots with which contains templates for a follow-up funnel, for a sales letter funnel, and for an opt-in funnel, as well as some copywriting training from me. And you can sign up at gohighlevel.com/, Jim Edwards offers. So that's our little podcast commercial there.
And
So
what's a snapshot for those that are brand new?
a snapshot is basically where you can just click a button and a whole bunch of cool stuff shows up inside your account. So you can have all the pages in a funnel loaded into a project. You can do the same thing with the opt-in page. You can have it say, "Hey, put this email here," and it even has examples of the emails. So it's almost as good as me coming to your house and doing it for you, except I don't go through your refrigerator. So that's a good thing.
Love it.
So, and in all seriousness, though, we love high level. We run all of our funnels on it. Best thing we've ever used. So let's get into part one, which is basically the intro. This is where I'm just going to define a whole bunch of things for you so you understand literally the definitions of what we're doing. So first, we're going to define copywriting, and this isn't intended to be boring or anything like that, but basically, copywriting is putting words on a page, words in an ad, words in a video, words in a funnel to get people to take action. That is the whole purpose of copywriting. And those actions, there's only a few actions that people can take. And when you understand that your purpose is to get them to take action, it actually makes life a lot easier. So we can ask them to buy, we can ask them to try, take a free trial or something like that. Buy, try, click. So click this link to move on to the next step. Okay. Sign up for something, or call on the phone, or schedule an appointment for a Zoom. That's pretty much all you can do. And so copywriting is using words to get your ideal customer to do one of those things. Not all of those things at once, because you can't. So when you think about it, it's real simple. Copywriting is very simple. It's persuading people to take an action that you want them to take. So now, what is copy hacking? Well, copy hacking is using frameworks, using hot buttons, using information about your avatar, about yourself, about your offer, and assembling them along with frameworks and or prompts to create the things you need, to create the sales letters, to create the emails, to create the ads, to create the blog posts, whatever you can think of. Copy hacking is about taking stuff, plugging it into other stuff, and creating the thing you need. Because the cool thing is that, unlike English class in 11th grade, where you got penalized for copying others, in copywriting, you get rewarded for modeling what works. So instead of having to reinvent the wheel, you just say, "Hey, I want a wheel like that," and you apply it to whatever it is you're selling. Next, we need to define what is an avatar. What is an avatar? Now, an avatar is not a 6 or 10 foot tall blue character from a Disney movie. An avatar is our ideal customer persona. And our ideal customer persona is made up of emotional hot buttons. What makes them buy, try, click, sign up, call on the phone? And emotional hot buttons are words that make them react. You've ever heard somebody say, "Hey, they really push my buttons"? That's what that means. There are certain words, certain phrases that push people's buttons, make them emotional, and that emotion leads them to take action. So we need to know who our avatar is, and we're going to talk about that at length here in just a little bit. So next is, what is an offer? Now, the interesting thing is that when you ask somebody what's an offer, they will give you actually many different responses. And an offer is basically a promise. Now, we're going to talk more about this in a minute, but an offer is a promise. It is an offer tied into your avatar's hot buttons to help them get what they want or solve a problem. That's pretty much it. We'll talk more about offers in a minute. Building blocks. We're going to talk a lot about building blocks throughout this. And all you need to do to think about building blocks are either words or phrases, or they are copywriting elements. So words or phrases are really going to be the hot buttons for your avatar, which we're going to get into examples here in a minute. But then copywriting elements are things like headlines, bullets, calls to action, and blurbs, which I know that might be a new term for some people. I've never heard anybody talk about copywriting blurbs. Yeah, because blurb is basically a chunk of text that gets somebody to do something. Could be a story, could be an explanation, could be anything. But look here, headline with bullets and call to actions and a blurb. I just made out of those elements a landing page, an opt-in page. So building blocks are things that we make that we hack together to make other things in copywriting, like landing pages, emails, things like that.
Jim, real
Next is,
quick, before we
uh-huh,
go any further, just to clarify, so what is the difference between copywriting and copy hacking? From what I understand, with my experience is copy hacking is where you get to a point where you're testing the effectiveness of your copywriting with different versions. Um, is that accurate, or am I
no.
going too
So
far? Okay,
copy hacking is taking building blocks and shoving them into frameworks.
got it.
Copywriting is when you go through this long process of internalizing all of these different frameworks, and then you spit the stuff out from scratch. You are capable of It's kind of like in the 11th grade English class where they spent an entire semester teaching you how to write a term paper, and then at the end you had to write a term paper. But I was the kid who figured out real quick that the way to make a term paper to get an A was to have a really good thesis statement, have an outline of all the points you were going to write about to create that thesis statement, and then to have a summary statement at the end, which was a restatement of the thesis statement. And you start your summary statement with the word therefore. And if you do all of those things, you will get an A. Okay, no, I'm being 100%
Yeah,
real. This was like
yeah.
I started recognizing patterns and stuff back in high school with writing papers where I could churn out and especially in college, dude, I was turning out 5-page papers in an hour at the keyboard and getting A's on them because it's just recognizing the pattern. So, do you want to learn the pattern or do you want to use the pattern? Do you want to internalize the pattern or do you just want to plug stuff into the pattern and move on with your life? And the cool thing about AI is that AI makes it even easier for you to just figure out the hot buttons in the building blocks, plug them into the frameworks, and then let AI do all the polishing for you. Now, the key I will tell you though is that there are different levels of hacking. And, the basic stuff, especially, I'm going to share prompts with you and other things today. Basic prompt's going to get you a basic result. Better prompt's going to get you a better result. But at some point, you're going to have to get good at this. But it's a lot easier to get good at what I'm teaching you than to do it from scratch. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. It makes
Okay.
total sense. So let's get back on track. What are frameworks?
Okay. So frameworks are basically patterns that you plug these building blocks and hot buttons into to get you the result that you want. And these are different than templates in that a template is very rigid, like think Mad Libs. You know, the part of what made Mad Libs funny was that you were shoving something into a context that it was made it nonsensical. Whereas a framework is a way for you to be able to put those hot buttons in and then mush it around so that it makes it amazing. And again, AI actually makes this easier once you understand the principle. But a framework is how you get to the end result. There's a framework for a headline, there's a framework for a landing page, there's a framework for a sales letter, there's a framework for a quote unquote short sales letter or an email or a Facebook ad or a webinar. And so once you understand the building blocks and understand the framework, though, you can then assemble these things instead of sitting there looking at a blinking cursor going, what the heck am I supposed to be doing? Next is define prompts. And again, everybody and their brother is now a prompt engineer. I mean, I think it's hilarious. This is like back in the 90s when everybody and their kid knew how to design web page. Everybody was a web designer. Now everybody's a prompt engineer. They're not. And the problem is that you might be able to, I mean, I'll tell you straight up. HubSpot, last time I checked, had a free ebook you could download with 1,000 marketing prompts. Literally, and it's for free. You can get 1,000 free prompts, and a prompt is basically instructions that you give to AI, whether it's through chat or, and that's the primary way of giving prompts is through a chat. And it could be Gronk, it could be ChatGPT, it could be Nick and Tony's auto body and AI bot. It doesn't matter. You give it a prompt and it's basically you're instructing it to do something. And the quality of the prompt is going to dictate the quality of the result. But the thing is, if 1,000 of your competitors go download that exact same 1,000 prompts, you're all plus or minus going to still be doing the exact same thing.
It's blind leading the blind, apparently.
Correct. So, but that's okay. Now, why do each one of these things matter? Why do each of these things matter? Well, because copywriting is what gets people to actually take action and get people to buy, try, click, and sign up. Copy hacking is how you can do copywriting really fast. The avatar is how you know exactly who you're communicating with and using hot buttons that are going to get them to actually react. The offer is important because if you can't make a promise that people are interested in taking you up on, you're pretty much dead in the water. Building blocks are important because, like I said a little earlier, if you can sit down and explain to a friend over a cup of coffee what you do, who you help, and what you got, you should be able to create amazing sales messages, ads, and marketing content. Frameworks make it so you can actually kick something out that's going to get a result. And prompts are how you take frameworks and all your hot buttons and get AI to help shortcut the process even faster for you. Is that pretty good summation?
I love it. I think all of you should be very excited at this point. Just the agenda that we set up for the whole next, 2 days is gonna be it's I think it's phenomenal because a lot of folks, I don't know, Jim, have you heard one of my personal trainers told me you cannot outwork out a bad diet, right?
You can't
And
outwork your diet.
that's right. So like when it comes to offers, I think of you can't out copyright a bad offer. It
So,
just won't work no matter how you look at it.
and on the flip side, you can be a functional idiot. And if you have an amazing offer, people will buy despite your bad copy. So I tell people all the time, I don't sell anything. I make offers. I make people offers they can't refuse. But you gotta use the words to explain the offer to a group of people who will recognize the value. That's the key. So we explain great offers in terms that our ideal customers are going to get all ginned up about and want to hand us money before we change our mind or raise the price. That's the whole purpose here. So that's a great observation. Real good. Way to go, Paulson.
I'm hanging in there.
You're the man. So far, so good.
So
All
far, so
right.
good.
So that's part one, basic intro stuff you got to know. Okay. Now, part two, we're getting into hot buttons and building blocks. And one of the ways that I like to describe the interaction of everything that I'm about to show you is with the triangle model, which is basically your avatar, your offer, and then you as the attractive character. Let me draw this out so you can understand what we're doing. Okay. So think of it like this. Everything starts with the avatar. Everything starts with understanding your ideal customer. And I had people over the years, and I had to learn this too, because remember, I told you I was the accidental copywriting coach. Okay. So 10 years ago, people would be like, "Hey, Jim, what do you think of my headline?" And I'm like, it looks okay. Can you help me with it? Sure. And I'd start throwing out all these suggestions. And sometimes people would be like, "Oh, that's amazing." And other times, it's kind of cringe. I had some little Gen Z fart in the front row of a conference where I'm speaking in front of 600 people. I'm trying to help him. And I said, "So what do you think of that?" And he's like, "It's kind of cringe." I didn't know what cringe was. Anyway, I asked him, I said, "You want to fight?" He's like, "No." Um, so but what I've learned is okay, before I can pass judgment on your headline or your landing page or your sales letter, your ad, or any other stuff, I've learned the smartest question I can ask is who's your avatar? Who we selling to here? What makes them sad? What makes them mad? What gets them excited? What do they want? What's their problem? What's their objection? Who are they? How do they see themselves? And people are like, but what I've noticed is that the people who can answer those questions rock, and the ones who can't struggle. Sometimes they get lucky. All right. Blind mouse finds some cheese every once in a while. But the bottom line is that if you don't know who your avatar is, you have no way to use hot button text that gets them to react. Okay. So the first thing is you got to know who you are. Next, you got to make an offer that those people care about. So you have to make them a promise that they're going to be interested in. So I spent a lot of years in the real estate business. In fact, one of my main audiences has and always will be realtors because I can talk their talk. So, what are the things that make real estate agents get excited? Hey, I need more leads. I need more buyer leads. I need more contracts. I need more deals. I need more flow. All these things, I got to fill my pipeline. I know how to talk their stuff, but it's basically I need more leads. I need more sales, and I need to maintain relationships with referral sources. That's what they need. So now offer, what's the promise? I got to be able to make them a promise that they're going to be interested in. So it's going to have to be about get more leads, get more sales, have better open houses, promote your crap on the internet, the whole nine yards. But this is the key. This is the thing that everybody screws up. And that is the third part of this is you, and specifically, why you. And so when people start talking about themselves in a sales context, they talk about stuff that nobody cares about. I'm a grandpa. I'm a husband of 30 years. I was an Eagle Scout. I'm, blah, 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 blah. Nobody cares. The only thing that these people care about is you related to this offer. And this is where the attractive character comes in. So the attractive character is the person who it makes total sense that these people should be listening to and making this offer. So, what you need to do is have building blocks that you understand their hot buttons, building blocks around the promise, which really there's only two. As far as making that promise, you only need two things. And then around this, around you is basically who you are, your basic credentials and stuff from your bio that supports you talking to these people about this offer. That's it. All the extra crap is just crap that people shouldn't be worried about. And we're going to go through all this. But isn't this a fun little model now where you see that this they exist together. They're not separate. So it's like the people who say, I got to come up with a great offer. No, you don't, Chuckles. You need to figure out who you're going to serve. And then once you figure out who you're going to serve, how you're going to serve them based on what they want, and then why should they listen to you? So great example of what not to do. Paulson, I heard that menopause is a great market. Every woman's going to go through menopause. All right. So half the world is my market. Oh, okay. I know what their hot buttons are: night sweats, and moodiness, and all this other stuff, blah, blah. And I can come up with a really cool offer, maybe a supplement or something. But me talking to ladies about menopause and offering a solution, it ain't going to happen. It total disconnect, which, by the way, the only way to serve, you're married, right?
Yep.
The only way to survive menopause is real simple. My offer stack is a one-page book, big type. You want to know how to survive menopause, Paulson? Seriously, you want to know how? You don't want to know?
I'm not the avatar, but
No, but
sure,
you have a
tell
wife
us.
who's going to go through
Yes.
menopause. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
I'm sorry. And yes, dear, you're right. That's it. That's the only way. And shut up. Not you, not her, you. Okay. Be quiet. That's how you survive menopause. That's how you do it as a guy.
My wife
So
would say, Paulson, that was cringe.
absolutely. But see, that shows why I'm not qualified to offer the solution.
Fair point.
So here's the thing. And I say that, tongue in cheek and stuff like that. But if you ever look at businesses or offers or people who are super, super successful, they really understand their avatar. They make an amazing offer, and it makes total sense that they are the ones doing this. That's the point.
So Jim, I
And
have I have a request. So are you okay with us pausing for 30 seconds and doing a quick exercise? I would love everyone to type in the chat a component of this lesson that Jim just started off with. So either do you know who your avatar is? Maybe you already do and you are trying to figure out what your offer is, or maybe you figured out how you resonate to the market as the seller of the offer, right? In the comments, tell us one of these three things. Either you are have identified your avatar, tell us who that avatar is, or maybe at least like an industry. Like even real estate itself has like six different avatars. There's folks that are flipping houses, there's multifamily, there's buyers, there's sellers, there are brokers, there's a ton of different avatars even within an industry. But like let's take 30 seconds and pause and let's do an exercise in the comments of the streaming. Tell us, not in the Zoom room, but in the Facebook group, Facebook chat, I mean the page, tell us who your avatar is or industry. And if you have that kind of checked off, tell us what your offer is. Maybe you already been working with plumbers for 10 years. What is your offer? Or do a self-evaluation of are you the attractive character? Do you have the branding, the positioning? I can tell you I built two different agencies. The second agency, I struggled because I went after automotive, the industry of automotive. Like I came from healthcare, had my MBA and all of that, and I'm a suit and tie wearing guy. Grew up in the church and all. And if I walked into a mechanic shop and try to sell them something, I came across like as if I came from the IRS or something. Like I just did not resonate with them. Now, one of my business partners, he had a hat on, Hispanic guy, jeans, and a t-shirt, and he crushed it on sales, right? So we flipped our essential roles because he was the right attractive character for that industry. So what you're explaining is literally one of the survival things that I went through from my second agency because it didn't make any sense. The first agency did well. It was in healthcare. I can talk to doctors and put on a suit and it was fine. But that did not work talking to a bunch of guys that are working under trucks. It just didn't make any sense. So let me see those comments coming in. Um, Tell me where you are, avatar, offer, or do a self-evaluation of your attractive character. Tell us what you're feeling. Tell us what industry. Tell us what your offers are. And as those come in, I'll just pay attention to that, Jim. Let's go back to you.
Okay. So now that I've kind of hit that triad there, let's get into each one real quick, and then we'll get into actually hacking together some headlines in this session. So the first is the avatar. And the avatar is basically, what is it? It is a collection of hot buttons. You are going to define the psychographics of your avatar. Now, what's the difference between demographics versus psychographics? Demographics are numbers. Demographics are used to find people, but they are not used to communicate with people. So you can say, okay, I'm going after automotive sales lots across the US that are doing between 5 million and $10 million a year in sales and have at least 10 salespeople. Those are demographics. Those help you identify people, but the psychographics are the words you use. They are the fears that these people have, the desires they have, the objections they have, all of the stuff that's going on up in their head that's going to make them either ignore you completely or lock into you like a tractor beam from the Death Star because you're talking their language. And so there are specific hot buttons that we use for the avatar building blocks. Okay. The first one is identity, and identity can be current and or desired. So a great example of what's your current identity? Well, I'm a real estate agent. I'm a broker. I'm a car salesman. I'm a SaaSpreneur, whatever it is, it's the I am this thing. And then the desired entity is where they would love to be, who they would love to be. So I would love to be a $10 million a year SaaSpreneur. I would love to be a top producing real estate agent. I would love to be a best-selling author. I would love to be the number one salesperson in my dealership. Whatever it is, there is a progression from where they are to where they want to be, because wrapped up in that current identity is a whole bunch of problems and crap that they're dealing with. And this desired identity is something that they believe will, if they were that person, all their problems, at least their current problems, would be solved. It's kind of like when you were a little kid and you thought as soon as you were an adult, it would be nothing but fistfuls of cash and no one telling you what to do. And then you became an adult and all you wanted to do was go back and be a kid again. But you believe that if I can transition to a different identity, all my everything is going to go away. And there's so much tied up in that, just with that identity, that you don't, as a copy hacker, you don't even have to bring it up because it's just implied. When I say best-selling author, top producing real estate agent, you fill in better details than I ever could. So that's critical to understand. Just in the identity, you're saying thousands of words, or you just say a couple of words and they fill in 1,000 words in their own way. The second hot button is their desired outcome. What do they want to have happen in their life, in their business, in their situation, whatever the context is in which you're talking to them? And desired outcome has two components. There's a short-term component, there's a long-term component. Great example with the real estate agent. Short-term, desired outcome, I need 2 appointments this week. Long-term outcome, I want to be making $500,000 a year. So when you think about, okay, is this a short-term thing, a long-term thing, or both? But what you need to be able to do is understand what is the outcome that they want, the end result that they want. Next, what is a pain point that they have? What is something that's bugging the crap out of them? Now, the key with this, with any hot button with a pain point, is it needs to be immediate, it needs to be intense, and it needs to be in their face. It's got to hurt real bad, and they've got to hurt right now, and they got to know they've got a problem. They've got to know that they've got the pain. You don't have to explain to them anything about it. As soon as you mention it, they go into fight, flight, holy crap. Yeah, they start really hurting. So again, intense, immediate, and they know they've got it. That's a key. And then you want to know what is their number one roadblock or objection about getting that desire or solving that problem, getting rid of that pain. I'll tell you right up front, I'll use the word pain and problem interchangeably because it's basically the same thing. And so and I know this is going to sound terrible, but it's just us talking right now. It's actually the number one roadblock or objection is what's their number one excuse as to why they can't have it. And they can't have that desired outcome. They can't get rid of that pain. They can't solve that problem. What's their excuse? What do they believe is keeping them from being able to do it? And so identify those 4 things. And if you want to take a pause right now and literally just think that through for a minute, that would be a fun example, especially for what we're going to do here in a little while. And so if I was going to do this in front of you and talk over you while you were doing this, if we were going to go after real estate agents, I would say, what's their identity? Real estate agent. Ideal identity is top producer. I'm literally typing this out. Desired outcome, short term, get 2 more appointments this week. Long term is to gross 500K in commissions this year. Number one roadblock or objection is hate to waste money on ads that don't work. Okay. So literally, I just type these up. Are you seeing that, Paulson?
Yeah. Yeah, I
Okay.
see it.
So just nothing fancy. Okay. And so that's, I would just tell y'all we're going to go with that. Okay. So now those are our avatar building blocks. Now
Yeah.
the offer, there are really 3 levels of an offer or 3 different things that people think of when I say offer. And I've done extensive training on how to do an offer. In fact, when I spoke at the live event for Go High Level last fall, that was the topic of my speech, your next $1 million offer. The fire marshal shut down the room because we had too many people in it. So it was definitely a popular talk. In fact, I'll tell you what I'll do. We'll put when we put this together, we'll get a link to that so that if that's okay with you, Paulson, maybe we could get
Yeah.
people a link to that or some parts of that. But the bottom line is that, an offer, what it is, it's really 3 different things to different people. So big picture, an offer is a promise. An offer is literally a promise to satisfy a desire and or solve a problem. And a lot of times people are like, oh, you always got to talk about the problem. Well, sometimes person's problem is that they don't have the desire that they want. They don't have the thing that they want. So people get really negatively focused on sometimes it's like, hey, I'm just, my problem is that I don't have that Corvette yet. That's my problem. So the first thing though is a big picture is a promise. So in the case of the real estate agents, it's like, hey, you know, how to get two more appointments minimum each week and skyrocket your gross close commissions to a $500,000 or beyond. Holy crap. That's a really good promise, but it's not amazing. I'm going to show you an amazing way to do it. Another way to think of an offer is offering them whatever it is you have in a call to action. Now, what's a call to action? Think of the end of any video, think of the end of any presentation, think of the end of any blog post or anything like that. It's you're inviting them to the next step. This is where I see people really screw up with a call to action. They try and sell in the call to action. No, the sales page makes the sale. The opt-in page makes the sale. The video makes the sale. The call to action is an invitation within the context of what you just showed them for them to go to the next step, and hopefully you sell them there or you move them through your sales process. And then the third thing that people think of an offer is all the stuff, and that's called the offer stack. And the offer stack are the deliverables. It's what you get. Now, you may only have one thing, so the offer stack would just be a benefit stack. But the offer stack is all the stuff you get when you come across with your money or your time or your email or whatever you're asking people to pay you with. So the key with an offer, boiling this down to the barest components, okay? The barest components for offer building blocks is number one, the big result that your offer gets them. How to get two more leads each month or two more leads each week and $500,000 in gross close commission. And the second, the second building block, as far as offer building blocks, is the number one big pain that your offer removes for them. So you notice on here, we have 6. These are the 6 building blocks, okay? The 4 from the avatar, the 2 from the offer that you can use moving forward to do a whole bunch of really cool stuff. And so the bottom line is with all 6 of those building blocks from the avatar and the offer, you can hack together a promise, a call to action, a stack, any of this stuff. And AI can help you do it. So now, and we're going to recap all this, so don't worry. Look, I forgot the first 4 and then the 2 and there's 6, and we're going to be doing stuff here in a minute. Chill out. No worries. So the final in our triangle was you and the attractive character. Now, what is it? What is you and the attractive character? Well, it's not your curriculum vitae. It's not your resume. It's not the giant, big old long list of crap that most people put on there about me. It is the parts of you that are relevant to the audience in the offer. It is the parts of your history, your qualifications, all that good stuff. It's your credentials, your accomplishments, and your results that matter. Not the fact that you were an Eagle Scout, not the fact that you were, you've been married 2.3 times or you have 1.2 kids. I mean, we're getting into demographics there. I always felt sorry for the 0.2 kid. But it's the parts of you that are relevant. So give you a quick example. Jim to realtors versus funnel builders, small business owners. Okay. Me. I'm pretty good at sales messages, ads, and content marketing. I was a top producing real estate agent who was able to generate 50 listings my first year in real estate. I have helped thousands of real estate agents understand their options for generating leads, getting more buyers, getting more seller contracts, getting more appointments, using sales copy to run better ads and make the phone ring. Okay. Now, for funnel builders and SMBs, I've been selling online since 1997. I have helped hundreds of thousands of people, not only with their sales copy, but also with self publishing books and having the ultimate authority. I have sales letters and sales funnels that have done as much as $40 million in sales. And I am known around the world as the copywriting guy. Okay. Same guy, but I'm talking about stuff that matters to that audience. That's real simple. You don't care that I got an award in high school from the Smithsonian Institution for acting in a Shakespeare competition nationally. You don't care. It's true. I was the best supporting actor in 1984 for the whole thing. It was a big deal. Helped me get into college. You don't care about that, which really hurts me because that's one of my biggest life accomplishments. Just playing. Okay. So I'm not oversimplifying this. What I'm doing is I'm teaching you the 5% that can get you 95% of the results. So now let's summarize those 6 hot buttons plus your bio. Okay. So, hot button summary: your avatar, their current ideal identity, desired outcome, what they want, pain point, what sucks right now. Number four is the number one roadblock or objection. What do they think is stopping them? What's the big result that your offer delivers? Number one big result. And what's the big pain removed? Okay. What's the big pain removed that your offer eliminates? And then finally, the elements of your unique story or angle in this area. That's all you need to know. So now, if we were going to go after real estate agents and my unique story, former top producer, multi-million dollar investor, coach to the real estate industry. And I won't, I might throw in stuff like I've spoken a couple times at Coldwell Bankers International Conference, that kind of stuff. So now we're going to get into fundamental frameworks. So, what is a framework? A framework is a framework, and I know now I'm turning into, I need more coffee. Let me start over. What is a framework? A framework is a way to put together all the building blocks to create the thing you want to create. So there's a framework for headlines, there's a framework for bullets, there's a framework for sales letters, there's a framework for blog posts and VSLs and anything else that you could think of. And then the question you're going to ask next is, how is it different from a template or a blueprint? A template is very rigid. A template is fill in the blank. And a blueprint is very similar to a template, it's just bigger. A blueprint requires you to do things in an exact way, whereas a framework has the intention behind it that creates the thing, but it gives you enough leeway to be able to plug your stuff into it and apply it to your situation. That's the big difference. So, before we get into the first framework, which is headlines, I'm going to ask a question. And I've actually got 2 questions. One question is, Paulson, how are we doing on time? How much more time do we realistically have?
We have usually I like to run these for about 90 minutes.
Okay, so we
So
we
we
got
have
about
yeah,
30 minutes.
Yeah, 30,
Okay.
35 minutes, depending on the crowd. If you guys want us to go further, we can, but this whole event is only 2 days. Normally, we do a lot of these workshops in a 3-day format. So if you
Okay.
notice, I'm kind of getting out of the way so Jim can focus on teaching and not interrupt him as much
You,
as I normally do.
you're okay. You're
But
letting the
yeah,
bull run in the china shop, is what you're saying.
we're doing good. We're doing good.
Okay, cool. So I got a question for you before we get into headlines. All right. This is a test. What's missing from this page? This is USA Today's homepage not too long ago. What's missing?
A lot of things. Call to action. There's multiple call to actions, if any.
Nope.
Headlines missing.
Headlines are the only thing I covered up were the headlines.
Okay.
Nothing else has been covered.
Sorry, are you asking what I think is covered, or are you
No,
asking? Okay,
What's missing from this page? This is USA Today's homepage. What's missing? What have I covered over?
headlines.
Okay. And the question is, why does that matter? Why does it matter that I covered up the headlines?
When I look at a page, it's just like watching the first 3 seconds of a social media clip. You've got 3, 4 seconds to capture my attention.
Hmm.
So I don't see that, and I'll just go to the next page or link on something else or look at another article.
And when you look at the headlines, what are you evaluating, especially if you go to a news type thing or a real crowded environment? Why, when you're scanning those headlines, what are you looking for?
Mm, I'm looking
Think,
for
think real basic, just real basic, like a third grader.
I'm looking for a reason to read it. I mean,
There you go. I'm looking for a reason to pay attention. Exactly. That's the dude. We overcomplicate things so much. And this is a great example. I've been using this example since I was speaking to realtors back in the 90s and would grab the local paper and put black masking tape over the headlines. And they understand. And then I would turn around to the real estate ad on the back and nothing would be covered. Why? Because there weren't any friggin' headlines in the real estate ads. And so this is at its core, a headline makes your audience decide whether they should pay attention or not. It gives them a reason to pay attention. So, right now, the headline is the single most important thing in your world when it comes to writing any type of sales message ad or marketing content. Because if there's no headline, nobody's going to pay attention. So, let's talk about headlines. And by the way, now you can see the headlines, and that's going to make some people really unhappy. Okay. So, first off, what is a headline? A headline are basically for our talking points. A headline is the first set of words they see at the top of a page. It's the first words they see in an ad, depending on how it's structured and stuff like that. Facebook ads, they kind of weirded out on stuff, but and it's the first words out of your mouth on a video. That's what a headline is for what we're talking about here. So, what is the purpose of a headline? The purpose of a headline is to get somebody to stop what they're doing and pay attention to what you are saying. And then the third part that nobody really ever talks about, which is to pre-frame them for what's coming next. So there's an old joke in the advertising where it says you could always just start every single headline with the word sex. It's like, sex. Hey, now that I've got your attention, let's talk about dishwashing detergent. But you can get somebody's attention, but if you piss them off, then they'll never pay attention to you again. So what's the purpose of a headline? Get people to stop what they're doing, see that there might be something in it for them, and to pre-frame them for what's coming next. So why are headlines important? Well, I'm going to share two quick stories with you. One from 20 years ago and one from this past week. Okay. So just to show you that this stuff's real, and it's not like you reach some magical thing where this never applies anymore. I created a program. I'll show it to you here. I created a program called 5 Steps to Getting Anything You Want. I went in the studio and I recorded this thing. This is when I was Jim in the red Hawaiian shirt phase. That was my whole thing. And I put together this, went in the studio, did the whole thing, wrote the sales letter, and put it out there. And sales sucked. 400 people go by. I send it out to my list. My list was not big. 400 people go, nobody buys. Nobody buys. I'm like, what the hell? So rather than panicking, because I panicked, I said, okay, what would a great marketer do? And this little voice says, test a headline. So I changed the headline and I modeled a headline that I saw recently from a search engine that I'd seen from a search engine promotion book that I had bought. And it was the original headline was how to get a unfair advantage in the search engine wars. So I changed my headline, which the original headline was all about me. Was like, how I went from dead broke, trailer trash to rich and famous on the internet. I mean, it literally was basically the headline. It sucked, but I thought it was amazing because it was about me. So I changed it to how to get an unfair advantage in life or business. And another 100 people went through and I got a sale. So I was like, okay, now most people would have stopped. Oh, don't change it. It's not broken anymore. Maybe we'll make our money back. But I said, nope, let's try a different one. So then I changed the headline to something that basically how to get a positively unfair advantage in business and in life. Next 100 people that came through, 5 sales. I didn't change the offer. I didn't change the price. I didn't change one single bit of copy. The only thing I changed was the headline. And I went from 0 sales to 1 sale to 5 sales. A 500% increase just by testing a headline. Now, you would think that Jim learned his lesson. Oh, no. Just ask my wife. So this past week, and part of this is you're too close to your own stuff. The hardest person you'll write copy for is yourself because you're so close and you're like, oh, this is amazing. And I know it's amazing. And they'll just know it's amazing because I know it's amazing. And they all love me. Long story short, short story long, I'm launching the opportunity for people to watch live as I create copy for my next book, which happens to be AI Copy Hacking Secrets. So I write this sales letter that I think's amazing, and it's got a headline at the top that I thought was amazing. And I wrote it, and then Susan put it up. And I'm feeling really good. We send the emails start sending email on Friday, and I'm thinking, I'm going to wake up with bucketfuls of cash and tons of sales and all this other stuff. And maybe this is oversharing. Okay. So I'm at the Daffodil Parade to see my grandson's march in the ROTC. And I get a text from Susan. Hey, we've had 500 people come to the website. Nobody's bought. And I'm like, what? I'm Jim Edwards. There is absolutely no way that I would write anything that many people wouldn't go and buy from. And I'm like, crap. So all those old feelings just flow through me again. And I'm like, oh my God, I suck. This is a scam. I didn't have anybody to blame. It's like, I can't even blame anybody. It's like this copywriting course was a scam. Oh, wait. So then I'm like, okay, let's look at this thing with a fresh set of eyes. And I looked at it with a fresh set of eyes, standing there with my son-in-law next to me. And he's like, dude, what is this even about? And then he's like, and why aren't you talking about AI? Because, don't you do AI? Little smart ass knows I do AI. And I'm like, yeah, that headline package sucks. So what do? We changed the headline. And then we did a split test of the headline because we got one. It started to pop. I said, okay, let's do a split test. And so I'm just going to read you the one that's good because I didn't even actually I didn't save the crap one. I mean, I know I could dig through it from what I sent Susan, but I don't want to even think about it. But the new headline package is pre-head is from the best-selling author of Copywriting Secrets comes, and then in big letters, AI copy hacking secrets. Then subheadline is how everyone can use AI to get more click sales and signups no matter what you sell. Zero copywriting experience required. Watch live as I reveal all the content for my new book, AI Copy Hacking Secrets. Didn't change anything else. Initial one that didn't have, that was a little bit better, that got a sale. And then we changed it to this one in the A/B split test, and that one has gotten 3 times as many sales. And when you hear this, like, oh yeah, from the author of Copywriting Secrets, AI Copywriting Secrets, everyone can use it. It's like, hey, that makes perfect sense. But you know what? The first headline made perfect sense to me, but I don't count. The only person it should make perfect sense to is the customer. And this is why you asked me earlier, is copy hacking about testing? Copy hacking is about being able to put together enough headlines that you can actually test. Because most people write how many headlines, Paulson?
One.
One, and then wonder why nothing's working. And again, with this, to prove that it's a headline, we didn't change anything else. Nothing. Zero. Zilch. Nada. It was only the headline package. Now, would you like to know my best headline I've ever done?
Absolutely.
Okay. I've never been able to beat this headline. Every other headline I've ever run, I could beat. This is the best headline I've ever done. I've never been able to beat it. How to write, publish, and sell your own outrageously profitable ebook in as little as 7 days, even if you can't write, can't type, and failed high school English class. And you're like, wait, that's too long. No, it's not. My customers have not thought that's been too long for almost 25 years. The course has changed, the tools have changed, the method has changed, the process has changed. Everything has evolved over the last 20 plus 20, almost 25 years, but I could never beat that headline.
Yeah, it's relatable. When you say failed high school English class, it just neutralizes all the defensive mindset I have about it until I read to that point. It's like, oh yeah,
Exactly.
that this is a real person that's talking to me.
Exactly. So we're going to keep doing going because I want to get to some cool demos. All right. So reminder, headline building blocks needed. Guess what? They're the same as the ones we had before. Avatar, current ideal identity, desired outcome, what they want, pain point, roadblock or objection, big result, big pain removed, and then your bio or unique story or angle in this area. So first, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about fundamental frameworks that you can plug the hot buttons into, and then we're going to show how to use those frameworks with AI prompts. Okay. So fundamental frameworks to plug the hot buttons into. So first is how to headline framework. How to is like the go-to headline for pretty much anything, whether it's a sales letter. And by the way, these headlines, we're talking about headlines for sales letters, landing pages, webinars, blog posts, ads, everything. A headline's a headline's a headline, a headline. Okay. So first one is how to big result without pain. How to launch a high converting offer without spending months building a course. Hey, that's a pretty good one. And then plug it into high levels automated webinar thing. And that's really cool too. See, you're supposed to pick up the ball, Paulson. Next, how to big result without roadblock or objection. How to launch your own SaaS without learning a single line of code. Could I become a SaaSpreneur in that way?
Hmm.
Absolutely, I could. Now, that's something, notice we're just getting rid of the pain or getting rid of the objection. Next is a list headline framework. X ways to desired outcome that don't involve big pain. 7 ways to turn browsers into buyers that don't involve rewriting your whole website. So what could I talk about there? Testing a headline, testing pictures, putting captions under pictures, doing sub headlines, having a PA, all these things. Wow, that's kind of cool. And then I drive them to my course on how to write the perfect sales letter. Mistakes headline framework. The biggest mistake avatar make when trying to get desired outcome. The biggest mistake solopreneurs make when trying to sell their first offer. And people are like, well, you got to understand your avatar. If you're going after people who've never made their first sale yet, that's a great headline. If you're going after people who are trying to get to their next million, this ain't a good headline. So it's understanding your avatar. And something that you said earlier about real estate, you can have different avatars in the space. You can also have different degrees of experience with the same avatar. So you can have newbies, you can have people who are middle of the road, and you can have super advanced. Secret headline framework. It's not a secret because I'm going to tell it to you. It's a secret with secrets. Okay. The secret to desired outcome, even if roadblock or objection. The secret to writing sales copy that converts, even if you suck at writing. I had somebody tell me the other day that I needed to amp up my personality. Like for the last year, I've been kind of, low energy. I thought that was an interesting comment. So I'm going to be a better version of me, Paulson. Curiosity headline framework. What happens when an avatar tried bio-inspired unexpected solution to fix pain point? You're like, what the heck is that? Well, AI is going to help us, but watch this. What happened when a burned out marketer used a story first funnel instead of a sales page? So these are just examples of frameworks and there are tons of them. Okay. In fact, I'm just saying, when I come out with this as a book, I'll probably have some stuff where people could scan a QR code to be able to go get like 50 frameworks. I think that'd be a cool thing to do. I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we're going to get into headline AI prompts. And so this is where we're going to do actual prompts. So we're going to switch back and forth here
Yeah.
between ChatGPT and some other stuff. So first one, how-to headline prompt. The prompt is write a headline using this format. How to big result without roadblock or objection. The offer helps avatar get desired outcome. So example input, write a headline using this format. How to big result without roadblock or objection. The offer helps online coaches get more clients without posting daily. So let's see what that gives us. Okay. So we're going to come over here.
So as Jim is pulling that up, one of the things that I'll invite a lot of you to do, especially if you are new to the world of marketing, the only way you can understand your avatar is by talking to them and spending time with them and like really get to know them. Like my very first agency was in dental space, and I followed a lot of marketers who were in the dental space, and I realized a lot of them really didn't understand the dentist. And when I really started taking momentum was when I started talking to a lot of dental practitioners and doctors, and I would ask them, "Hey, can I bring you, is it actually a good thing if I brought you 200 to 300 new patients a month? Is that a good thing?" Like I started questioning that because it didn't make sense from a mathematical standpoint that these people would want to deal with high volume, right? And I had a gut instinct because I came from healthcare. And pretty soon, my whole business changed when I said, "Hey, I'll bring you 10 Invisalign cases. I'm not your guy that's going to bring you hundreds of cleanings and hundreds of teeth whitenings. You want
Right.
something like that? Go find any other agency. But you want to talk to me? I'll bring you bigger cases for veneers, Invisaligns, cosmetic dentistry." And all of a sudden, it took off because they only wanted to deal with less patients.
Well, and it also was believable
Yeah.
because nobody believes that you're going to get them 200 new cases a month. And they're also knee-jerk reaction. I'm sure if you actually talk to a live human being, I'm sure they said we couldn't handle them. We couldn't
Yeah.
handle 200 new people.
Well, also, if you do bring in 200 new cleanings, who's actually doing the work? It's the
Right.
front desk and the hygienist. The
Yep.
doctor don't care about that. So when you actually talk to these people, you're going to get stonewalled
Yep.
at the door because you're asking the ancillary staff to take on more work on top of that, right? So if you start studying these your avatar well enough, you find out information that fellow marketers just don't know or fellow small businesses just don't know, which is my point is get to a point where you can take your clients out to dinner and you can hang out with them. That's how you
It's
know whether you're in the right place.
the difference between knowing about them and knowing them. So watch this. All right. Here's the first one. Prompt, write a headline using this format, big result without roadblock or objection, helps avatar get desired outcome, offer helps online coaches get more clients without posting daily. Boom. So here you go. How to get more coaching clients without posting on social media every day. Not bad. Want a few more variations? Sure. Keep them short. How to fill your coaching roster without daily posts, how to attract clients without living online, how to win clients without daily post hustle, how to grow your biz without posting like a maniac. So those are pretty good, right? We just came up with a whole bunch of different things that you could probably test.
Yeah.
Now, are there other things that you can do as far as style and length? And I mean, you saw me
Yeah.
kind of do a little bit there with, keep them short because this thing,
Yeah.
if you don't learn how to control it, this thing will give you a paragraph and call it a headline.
Yeah.
But the
I've
bottom
done
line is, go ahead.
No, sorry, you keep going, keep going.
No, I mean the bottom line is though, but by understanding this, giving it the frame as opposed to, okay, give me a headline for coaches who want more clients without posting daily. Now, it might not do all that great. How coaches can get more clients without posting every day. Well, crap, I could have just written that myself. You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it's having the framework and the prompt together is kind of the next level up from just basic third grade asking. So let's do another one. So that was the how to headline. Let's do the list headline prompt. So the prompt is give me 3 headline ideas using this format. X ways to desired income that don't involve big pain removed. The offer helps avatar to get big results. So give me 3 headlines formatted this way. X ways to desired income that don't involve. The offer helps overwhelm solopreneurs grow their email list without using social media. So if we throw this in there, I'm just copying and pasting it from here. I didn't mean to cut you off, Paulson. Um,
Oh no, you're good. One of the when you were on GPT, you reminded me. I don't know if you ever watched any of your team members use GPT or anybody in your ecosystem use GPT. It's interesting how we all use it differently. And what I learned was people write requests based on certain literature. So I can say, write this copy based on marketing legend Jim Edwards' book, Copywriting Secrets that came out, I don't know, 2025. And like it would even do things like that if it has enough knowledge base, which is pretty cool.
it does. But now we're getting into prompt engineering rather than copy
True.
hacking. And
Right.
so, and that's a great distinction is that, in the end of the book, in the end of I'm going to go over specific things, specific ways that you can do this. A lot of things though have changed, and some of the things that worked 2 years ago with telling it to do a certain style or other things like that, or especially with imagery and other things, it will actually kick back that that's a violation of the terms of service now, and it can't comply with that request because
Oh,
it is a there's certain ways you do it that it won't do it. You can prompt it and it'll say, no, I can't do that as a respect for intellectual property rights and copyright and all that
hmm.
other stuff. So it's yes, and these things change. So I'm trying to keep this to the point where I know that this is going to work for folks, and so they're not going to hit a brick
Gotcha.
wall. But you
Gotcha.
notice here, okay, I asked it for 3 headlines and I got 3 headlines. So 7 ways to grow your email list that don't involve social media overwhelm, 5 simpler ways to attract subscribers that don't involve posting. One, and then it'll ask you, you want some with humor or a punchier edge? And I'm gonna make it hurt worse. One of the things that I'll do. 7 ways to grow your email list that don't involve begging for likes or fighting the algorithm. That's pretty good, right? 5 smart ways to build a list without wasting hours on soul-sucking social media. I like that a lot. Okay. So next, that's the mistake. So next up, um, wait, I didn't do the mistake. Sorry. Um, so the next step would be the mistake. So create a headline using this format. The biggest mistake so and so make when trying to get desired outcome. Example input, create a headline using this format. Biggest mistake. The avatar is new course creators trying to launch their first product. So understanding this is the one, like over the years, you'd have people that would say, hey, ChatGPT, you're the world's greatest expert on X, Y, and Z, and you write in the style of so and nuts and such, and blah, 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 blah. And now with the new language model, all that stuff it's zero meaning. It won't, it has nothing to do with it. So I always like to start with a nice, simple prompt and then dial it in from there when I'm using ChatGPT. So create a headline using this format. This is a new course. Biggest mistake new course creators make when trying to launch their first product. All right. Want a few more a few punchier ones? Yes. Give me 3 short that hurt. 3 short variations that hurt. You got it. The number one mistake new course creators make that kills launches fast. Why most forced course create launch fail and how to avoid it. The fatal flaw new creators make before hitting launch. Those aren't bad. So you can play with those. But again, giving it that prompt and the hot buttons, you're actually giving it something to work with, or giving it the framework and the hot buttons and the prompt. It's all that stuff together. All right, next one. So that was mistake. Now, secret. Write a headline, the secret to desired outcome, even if you roadblock or objection. Use a tone that's curious but confident. Then, underneath that, the desired outcome is writing better copy. The roadblock is I'm not a writer. So we come over here and here we go. And you notice I'm not starting a new chat. I'm not starting a new chat line. I'm just using the same chat. I'm not like starting a new one each time because you don't have to. The secret to writing better copy, even if you don't consider yourself to be a writer. The secret to high converting copy, even if you're not a writer. How to write killer copy, even if writing isn't your thing. And then I can give it additional stuff. One thing I might say to it is make it more hopeful they can't get past the mistake. All right. Secret to writing better copy, even if you've never called yourself a writer. How to finally write copy that works, even if you struggled before. That's a good one. And the surprisingly simple secret to better copy, even if writing feels hard. So again, you can play with it, dial it in, writing styles, all that other stuff. Curiosity headline. Create a curiosity-driven headline like what happened when a avatar tried unexpected solution. Keep it short and intriguing. Create, and then the avatar is a struggling freelancer. The unexpected solution is doubling prices. The pain point is not making enough money. So you can, as you're going through, just substitute in your own stuff. And when I'm teaching this or helping people, the key is to get comfortable getting it to give you basically what you're looking for. Not trying to write a 2,000 word prompt. I mean, I've got software that literally will have a prompt that is 10 times longer than the output that I'm looking for, literally. But we're dialing it in to such a degree. It's like if you were to think that ChatGPT is like a butter knife and what I've got's a scalpel, but you got to learn how to use the butter knife. So what happened when a struggling freelancer doubled their prices to make more money? 2 spicy variations. A freelancer was broke, then doubled their rates. A struggling freelancer tried raising prices. Here's what happened. So again, what are we doing? This is a curiosity driven headline. Now, if you want to learn about the different types of headlines and stuff like that, you can go read scientific advertising. You'll learn about, oh, I don't know, 50 different types of headlines, and your mind will spin and it won't do you any good. But imagine this. This would be great on social media. Very curiosity driven. And now the last one, which is the offer plugin prompt. So write a results focused headline like avatar used offer to get big result without big pain or objection. Um, Coaches use copywriting secrets to write sales pages without hiring copywriters. So we're going to throw this in there, and then we will have time for wrap up. And this is just coaches use copywriting secret to write sales pages without hiring expensive copywriters. Bleh. How coaches use copy hacking to sell more without a copywriter. That's pretty good. Coaches are writing high converting sales pages, no copywriter needed. And then you can dial it in from there. I personally think it needs to play up the payoff more. And let's see what it does. Coaches use copywriting secrets to write sales pages that sell without paying a copywriter a dime. I like that. Uh, how coaches are turning words into clients thanks to copy hacking secrets. No copywriter needed. Okay, so that is the first. So I just want to kind of recap what did we do? Because we actually did a lot, and this sets us up for tomorrow to really bust out a bunch of stuff. You're going to be making stuff, doing stuff, but we identified the core components of what is copy hacking, why it's better than copywriting, because you don't have to learn it, you don't have to become it, you don't have to hire it. You also learned about the importance of the avatar. You learned about the importance of the offer and then the important elements of you. We identified the 6 most important hot buttons for doing this quickly. Now, there's a whole bunch of other ones. Okay. There's a lot more that you can use, and we can get as sophisticated as we want, but you got to crawl before you can walk, before you can run, before you can, buy a Lamborghini. So then what did we do? We identified what our frameworks, how they're different from templates and blueprints. We identified frameworks that work for copy hacking. And then we identified AI frameworks that are a combination of a framework plus a prompt. And then we actually use them in real time in a chat bot. And we have set ourselves up now for tomorrow to do all kinds of cool stuff with bullets and blurbs and calls to action. If we have time, we can write some ads and some emails and maybe even tell some stories and, do some other
Yeah,
stuff.
that'll be
So,
awesome. Give me a one in the chat if you have learned maybe one or two things from this workshop or even more. Sometimes what's really effective is if you take one or two things from any training and just go right in and apply it right away. And that's what I do with masterminds and events and virtual events and webinars and trainings that I do is just identify one or two things. So Jim, what will we cover tomorrow? It's basically taking everything that we learned today and putting it into action is what I'm
and
ready
building
for.
on it and
Okay,
making some stuff.
awesome, awesome. So let us know if you have any further questions. Jim, what I will go ahead and do is go ahead and end the streaming for the day, and we'll do a bigger Q&A for tomorrow as we people are doing homework and they'll get through some of this content and catch up on replays as well. So if you are just tuning in, we'll be live tomorrow at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time or 12 p.m., which is Eastern Standard Time or New York time for those of you that are international. And again, we do have a 14-day trial that's associated with this event that we are doing right now with Jim. So if you don't have high level for any reason and you're interested, you can get a lot of the, resources Jim is providing, which is a snapshot and a ton of copy stuff that's been proven that's already comes with that. So you can jump into that if you want to. It is at gohighlevel.com/Jim Edwards offer. And that's something that's going to be live here this week as we are going through this training. So tomorrow, Jim, I'm excited for tomorrow. There's a ton of things to cover, and yeah, give us a preview of what we can expect tomorrow.
So basically, tomorrow we're gonna, at a minimum, we're gonna go through hacking bullets, call to actions, ads, and as much more as I can put in there, as much more as we can do. I mean, obviously, this is a huge topic, but I'm trying to give you guys stuff that you can build. But here's the thing, like with headlines and bullets and calls to action, quite frankly, you then have the building blocks to build opt-in pages. I mean, most people have way too much crap on their opt-in page. I mean, a great opt-in page is basically a pre-head, head, maybe a subheadline, three bullets, a picture, and a button.
Yeah,
Everything else you put on there is talking people out of signing up.
yeah. Simple cells.
Yep, and simple can be tested quickly, and it's just people don't have. I mean, I'm going to say something. Well, I won't say it. I'll say it now because people are wondering what I was going to say. Some people say that long copy doesn't sell. Irrelevant copy doesn't sell. And if it is relevant to your avatar and it's hitting their hot buttons, they will read a 10, 20, 30-page sales letter. In fact, they'll skim it, buy, and then go back and read every word. So it's about making it so tuned into your avatar, to the offer, and to you that people just like it just makes total sense. This is for me. This is something I want, and it makes sense to buy it from this guy or this gal or this person or these folks, whatever you want, however you want to say it.
I love it. Well, thank you, Jim, for day one. We'll see you tomorrow at 12 o'clock New York time for those of you that are international. And we'll be live again. Replays will be available to you. But bye for now.
Thank you.